Because I've been doing this show for how long, and I don't know how long it. All right, that's what I want to hear. I mean, yeah. Well, Baron Miguel's the clonus from fucking the Isle of Malta. So shut the fuck up.
Is that even a real place?
I don't even know. It still doesn't take away from the fact that I'm being accused of something.
I'm fucking looking it up because I want to know if it's a real place.
What, the Isle of Malta? It is. It's outside of like Greece.
Yes, it is.
You can't make up the Isle of Malta. Now, if you were from the Isle of Malki,
everybody there is just pale and thin.
Well, I mean, where's the food coming from? I mean, do they have a pipeline of ships that are just sending them oodles of noodles?
Potatoes, yeah, just potatoes.
There's no dairy products in the Isle of Malta. If there is, I don't want to drink them. Could you imagine going to the dairy section of the Isle of Malta? It just doesn't sound good. Oh, good Lord.
It's all almond milk.
Yeah, it's expired. You pour it out, but you need a spoon.
That's not milk anymore. It's cottage cheese.
Well, I had that experience in the last 24 hours. And
Jess goes, milk experience.
Jess goes, I said I was making my coffee this morning. She goes, and then she goes, you didn't use the milk that's in the refrigerator, did you? And I said, yeah, why? She goes, it's been bad for look at the date. It's been bad since August. And I just said, well, then why is it still in the refrigerator?
Why is it still in the refrigerator?
I don't know. I poured it out and I had to grab a spoon. I had to grab a spork to get most of it out of there. The Isle of Malta. How do you become a baron anyway?
I think you just put on a cape and call yourself a baron.
Is that it? Hold on, I'm gonna walk inside. Oh, I think I have a cape. Yeah, I do have a cape.
You can be a baron then.
Let me ask Miss Jess. Hey Jess, do I have a cape? I have a cape, right? Yeah, because the DJ's wedding, DJ's birth or whatever. I do have a cape. She just confirmed that I do have a cape.
Baron Chad Austin, there we go.
Oh, there you go. I'm from the Isle of Drunka.
The only way, yeah, you can be. All you have to do to become a baron is just say that you're a baron. I'm a baron.
Well, I mean, no, I don't want to be a baron. It sounds like too much responsibility. I'm having a hard enough problem being a stepchad.
Where the fuck is my brother at?
Well, we're already doing a show. It's better than what we're going to review anyway. Aaron's all drunk somewhere and he's in the gutter.
He told me he was going to be buzzed when we did the show.
Can we use the word stumble bum?
Here we go. He stumble bummed his way into the studio now.
Yeah, he's stumble bummed. He's flabbergasted. He's bum puzzled.
My fucking computer kicked me out of everything.
Because you had to take a breathalyzer.
Remember my fucking passwords and everything? It's like, what the fuck?
No, it's because you had to take a breathalyzer test on your computer. You have priors. Could you imagine if you had to take a breathalyzer test on a computer?
You can't Google drunk. It's not allowed.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great idea. Why are we on this, mate?
I don't have the technical ability.
I mean,
I barely run this shit show.
well, you somehow got the network up and running. I mean, we can always hear what Archie Mitchell's doing, for Christ's sake, every fucking couple days. How many shows he do a week? 7? 8? He's doing a show every couple hours.
Well, it's easy when you can't walk a lot.
You do a show.
Yeah.
That's the criteria for doing a lot of shows. You can't walk a lot. Yeah, well, tomorrow I find out if I can't work a lot. I think it's tomorrow anyway. I go to the doctor's. I think it's tomorrow. If it's not tomorrow, it's the day after. Well, no, it can't. It has to be tomorrow because the day after tomorrow is my birthday. So there's no chance I'm going to go to my doctor's on my birthday and hear bad news of, yeah, you're fucked up. and my doctor's going to say to my wife, I don't know how to explain it in any other words. Your husband's fucked up.
Is it your knees?
My knees?
Is it your knees that's fucked up?
Well, we can start there. Work our way up. All the way to the cranium. Because every time I go there, the dumb broad makes me remember, she thinks she's all slick. And she gives me like 5 things to remember. And then she walks back in and asks me to remember them. And I remember like one of them. And she's only gone for like 2 minutes. And then I look at Jess, and Jess is all weeping, crying. And I go, but Terry Taylor beat the fucking Nightmare for the North American title.
I can remember that shit.
Yeah. But like remembering a job interview, no. Forgot all about that. It's my bad.
Yes. It's not that I can't remember these things because my brain is bad. It's because I have all this useless information stored in here.
Yeah, I mean, enough. I mean, if you can find some way to extract some hot stuff Eddie Gilbert information into my brain, there's a whole bunch of megabytes up there somewhere. I think. Like, she just went through my phone. It took her about Nate, I'm not kidding. It must have took her a solid hour, because I was literally starting to worry about, is she going to be done by the time we start the show, because she was going through my phone and all she was doing was deleting all stupid shit that I had downloaded that I didn't know that I downloaded. None of it's porn. None of it's nothing like that. You know, it's just all my wrestling related content. And she's like going through there and she's just like, Jesus Christ. And then it kind of makes me think, then I wonder what she thinks I'm doing all day long. she deleted like 120 some hours of like podcasts off my phone. I'm sure she's going, and she's like, oh, I'm sure you're really looking for a job. Is this before or after you hear Jim Cornette's review?
In your defense, two Jim Cornette podcasts are a day's work. So,
yeah, dude, that's a couple of showers. I mean, I only take a 10, 12, at the most 15-minute shower, and I put the show on, and by the time I get to finish hearing about the fucking people that is cutting his grass, then by the time I get out of the shower, then the next time I take a shower, it's like, all right, now I get to hear the finish.
Yeah, he's finally got to Rampage. Yeah.
Yeah. And
they
then
can't take. I thought that the other day when I was listening to the drive-through. I'm like, there's no way they take this shit in one sitting.
Oh, there's no chance. I mean, actually, sometimes you can even actually hear it in Brian's audio. Sometimes the audio is just a little bit off. Like not off as in timeline, just off as in audio quality.
Right.
And then you can hear, well, there's no chance that if I'm talking to Jim for 40 minutes and all of a sudden something happens and he's got to go,
Yeah.
We'll finish this. It's kind of like, when Archie Mitchell interrupts our show. If he's got to go, he's got to go.
Not fast, but he's going to
No, we're
go.
talking about to the bathroom.
Oh.
It's not fast, but it's going to be a long time.
Pack a lunch.
All right, let's get this shit show started. The show. There's not much to the show, but
Hopefully you got questions or something.
We'll start with the Wikipedia thing. I think there's a lot to go through in this paragraph, which I think Chad will have a lot to say about it. So this week on Reliving the Extreme, we are reviewing the episode of ECW from December the 13th, 1994. I'm Nate Maxon, your host, along, of course, as always, with my brother Aaron.
Hello.
Mr. Chad Austin.
Hello. Like he was making sure he had a good connection. Hello.
Testing.
Yeah.
Testes. 1, 2, 3.
What's the frequency, Kenneth?
What do you got? Coconuts for fucking earbuds? What are you, Gilligan over there?
Aaron will be broadcasting in Morse code this week.
From Honolulu.
I'm in Rio de Janeiro.
They don't have Wi-Fi in Rio. Stop it.
Got to go find the place that Pat Patterson won the first Intercontinental Championship. But
believe me, Pat Patterson had his first gay experience in Rio de Janeiro where there was no Wi-Fi.
Hello, Poppy.
I don't want to hear
it. We're already off to a grand start here this week on Reliving the Extreme. Like I said, December 13th, 94 is the episode of ECW we all watched this week, and there wasn't a lot to it, so we will have probably about 15, 20 minutes on that. But let's start off the show. Let's keep digging into Chad's Wikipedia page. And I think just looking at some of the names and stuff this week, you may have some stories coming out of this paragraph this week, Chad. Soon after the TQM's breakup, Chad formed a tag team with former stablemate Dino Divine called the Slackers. And I know you've discussed the Slackers on the show before. Was that the one where you got t-shirt money from that one?
Yeah, that was it, man. That was about 3 or 4 months after I had seen Silent Bob and Jay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know. I mean, I wasn't a fan. I didn't watch that. I didn't watch that nonsense. And I saw that, and I said, "This is me and Dino." Like this is the way it is. I talk, he doesn't. Like that. I mean, it wasn't even a thing. Like he didn't like talking,
mm-hmm.
and I did like talking. So it was like, all right, we'll just do this, and that's pretty much what we did. Got over, man. It got over huge, dude. As a matter of fact, I'll send you my last. Do you have some kind of hall of shame or something? Like
yeah, a hall of shame in my house.
Yeah.
No, but I do have a hall of shame like hard drive of shitty wrestling for my computer. But I don't.
No, I mean like memorabilia because I have some crap here. I got Mike Boyette's wrestling trunks.
I got my crap mixed in with my good stuff, so it's all one big kit and caboodle here at the house.
Well, I have all crap. Like I really went out of my way to I figure anybody can get like the trunks that Steve Austin wore at like WrestleMania, like 97 or whatever. But I want to get the boots that Steve King wore when he lost to SD Jones on Championship Wrestling, like 1980. Like you lost to SD Jones. Give me them boots.
You know the bottom of the boots are good because they're usually he was usually on his back.
Yeah.
So,
Like everything on the bottom of them. That's pretty cool.
I still have a little issue with my mom about her throwing away the boots of Coco Beware's. The only boots that he wore when he wrestled Flair. And when I found out that she did it, and you don't understand, like that RKO was right there. and she would have had to have been like 76 years old. And then when I went to the garage and went through my stuff and I realized that the boots that I wore or that I had from Coco Beware, the rest of Ric Flair, were gone, she goes, "Oh well, I gave them to some junk guy or I threw them away." I was right there, and I heard voices in my head. And I don't even, maybe the neighbor came and stopped me because they saw me just like sitting there banging on the concrete.
Chad Austin out of nowhere.
I was gonna RKO a 76-year-old woman because she got rid of my Coco Beware boots. It's the audacity.
On February 16th, the Slackers defeated Van Hammer and the Cowboy in a rematch on MCW Rage TV in Harrington, Delaware, but lost to Gilbert and Steve Wilkos of this Jerry Springer show at Michael's 8th Avenue in Glen Burnie a month later. In his pro wrestling debut, Wilkos put both men in the sleeper hold to get the victory. That's a fun team. Steve Wilkos and Gilbert.
Steve Wilkos and what, Gilbert?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Just it's Butch and Luke. Isn't it? No, isn't it?
Pretty much.
Yeah. It's okay, you got me and Dino. At the time, the most decorated tag team in the company. We've won tag team of the year, I don't know, 1 or 2 years in a row. We've had the best matches with the Briscoes. We've wrestled the Briscoes, we had tremendous matches with them fucking goofballs. And they were guys that we used to love because we never had to even spend 30 seconds with them. I think we passed them in the hallway one time and just said, "Hey, we're wrestling each other like fourth match, whatever." And we got like 20 minutes or whatever, 22 minutes or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they were like, "All right, call it out there." And we were like, "Yeah."
Yeah, they're featured in this paragraph of your Wikipedia. So I was going to ask you about them today anyway, what it was like working with those guys, especially, they were
just naturally good.
And they were back at this time when you were wrestling them, they were just getting out the chute, weren't they?
Yeah, well, they missed their high school graduation, like for that show. Like they were like 18. They had their graduation or their or something, their prom or whatever, you know what I mean?
Right.
Whatever it was, and me and Dino didn't know. We didn't know, we didn't care. Like any of that. We were just like, all right, well, we've already had a couple of good matches with you guys, or it could have been the first time we touched or whatever. But yeah, we were like, yeah, we have good chemistry. You guys listen. Because me and Dino, we took ourselves as there was nobody that was going to be there that was going to be more experienced than us. I'm not going to work for a company that's going to have a tag team that's had more experience than us, than me and Dino as a tag team, because there just wasn't anybody there.
Right.
In the marketplace, there wasn't anybody. And the Briscoes being as young as they were, and all that nonsense, like they didn't they just listened to us, and we just told them, and then they just they had their own little ideas of me and Dino weren't dicks, you know what I'm saying? Well, we gave everybody their shine. Everybody got their shine against me and Dino. Our favorite is the I don't know if it's our favorite because the Briscoes could be our favorite, but one of our favorites were definitely the SATs.
Right.
I couldn't tell you how many places we went to that we were scheduled to wrestle somebody, and when we got there, the promoter decided to change the whole entire thing because it was going to be Chad and Dino against the SATs.
I am so surprised. That's one of those guys are one of those teams that I am so surprised that they didn't go farther than they did. It really surprised me because when I saw them, in the early 2000s, I honestly I thought, oh, these guys are going to be fucking stars. They're going to be on the big shows. They're going to work probably in WWE, et cetera, and they just never happened for them.
The only thing I can probably say is I have no idea. This is not truth. This is just my speculation. They had to have been their own worst enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Like they had to have probably thought they were worth more than they were, and WWE was not going to use them. That wasn't going to happen. Worst case scenario is they would have hired them for 6 months to get red.
Mm-hmm. Did they refresh my memory, anybody? Because I am the least knowledgeable. Probably the promotion I'm the least knowledgeable about in my life is TNA. Did they ever work in TNA?
Oh yeah,
of course they did.
Right at the beginning, they were all over at the beginning of it.
Mm. Yeah, I literally know more about OVW than I know about TNA.
Kind of like Chad said, like they kind of got shined by. Like Red was like the singles. He was like the singles breakout guy. He was what the TNA bookers, which were basically Jarrett and Russo, looked at as being their fucking Rey Mysterio or whatever.
And he should have been. He should have been.
Like, I don't know what happened with him either, but yeah, SAT was very much at the beginning of the TNA X division.
Yeah, the SATs. I mean, the Maximos still wrestle today. I'm still friends with them on Facebook, and I see their posts, and they still work. And there's no chance they're as good as they once were.
Right.
No chance. Because I could make a case that they probably weren't even that good. If you ask me.
As far as Steve Wilkos goes, is he doing this stuff in the ring before or after you're on Jerry Springer?
Oh man, now you're getting into a whole different. All right, here's the deal with Steve. Man, from the beginning, Danny started out doing Springer. He did a couple of Springer shows, and haven't we already covered this, or have we not?
Yeah, no. I mean, we've discussed your appearances on the show, but I was just wondering, timeline wise, did you get connected? Was Wilkos your connection to the show, or is that who got you booked?
No, we told Steve that after I had became like basically a star of the Springer show, after I had done so many shows, and Toby loved me, the producer of the show loved me, Jerry loved me, I was like the best guest they've ever had, all that nonsense. We thought it would be a great idea to use Steve as an attraction, right? I mean,
right.
Why wouldn't you?
Right. He's on national television every day,
and he's supposed to be a badass, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we brought him in, and we were like, all right, well, we're going to put you with Gilbert as your partner, a gimmick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to put you against our top gimmick tag team. It's going to be Chad and Dino. And we were just like, we were just like, it's gonna be easy as cake, Steve. Don't you worry about it. We're not gonna hurt you. And that was the main thing that everybody that he had associated with him was worried about, was that we were gonna hurt him.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just like, why would we do that?
Right.
Like, there's nothing in it for us. Like, what are we going to be on Inside Edition? Because we're the guys that beat up Steve from Springer. Like, that was gonna get us, like, our big break.
Plus, he obviously knows how to half-ass work if he's breaking up fights on Springer.
Well, that's the work about it, is they don't know how to work, and nobody knows how to work. That's why it looked so fucking halfway decent, like it was legitimate. Because all it was grab ass. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with that term in wrestling, grab ass. Just grab a hold of the person, and just grab them. Basically, is what it is.
Yeah, nothing actually happens.
No, nothing really happens. Nothing actually happens, and then you get Steve to break it up, and then he brings in a bunch of fucking goofs, to help him, like, secure the stage. Like, what the fuck is going on here? These are like teenage kids, And me, I was not a problem because they all knew that ahead of time that I knew how to work. And I had to legitimately teach them how to work. Because I had to explain to them that, like, I had wrote down about, I think I still had the notebook where I wrote down my jokes about the girl. And I was like, all right, these are my jokes. This is what I'm going to say about this broad. And I'm just going to fucking set her on fire, basically. And then when Steve did his thing, and nobody knew anything. There was no collusion. There was no, kayfabe. Like, it was legitimately like, these people were running down to the fucking stage to beat us up. And we needed these goofs to protect me from these people. And I thought they were all worked. I thought they were all works. Like, I thought I could say whatever I wanted to say about these fucking ham bones, these Mitchells of the month, and I could just do whatever I wanted. And they weren't going to get me. But then literally they had to escort me out of the building. They had to get a car, and they had to change my hotel room and all this stuff. And I had no idea, like,
Jesus.
legitimately none. Because I thought the crowd was in on the whole entire, like, charade. I thought they were. So I'm out there pointing fingers, like, you slept with a donkey, and you. How many times is your aunt going to send me a Facebook request or a MySpace request? That kind of stuff. And it's just like, that's all they wanted me to do, and I did it. And boy, did I do it good. I did it too good.
Let's see here. The Slackers bounced back by winning the MCW Tag Team Championships from the Bad Street Boys on the May 22nd edition of Rage TV. The team defended the titles against the SAT at the 2002 Shane Shamrock Memorial Cup, as well as the Briscoe Brothers and the Holy Rollers, Earl the Pearl and Ramblin' Rich, during the next few months.
Oh, that sounds like that. I wouldn't necessarily say that we actually defended the belts against them. That sounded to me like we had, like, some sort of, like, what is that? Like an elimination kind of match or whatever, Yeah. I don't. There's no chance that I'm going to say that they put me and Dino over on them guys. I don't believe so.
We've talked about the SAT and the Briscoe Brothers here. The Holy Rollers, I know we talked a couple of weeks ago going through your Wikipedia about Earl the Pearl. Ramblin' Rich. You
First
remember
match.
Who that? Oh, yeah?
My first match ever. And for some reason, I still don't think he likes me. Like we used to put the ring up together. We used to do the ring rentals together, like all that stuff. And then a lot of times we would work together, like because we did the ring rentals or whatever. We just didn't have a good chem. I mean, nothing like personally because I still go to like his like birthday parties and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we just never had good chemistry because I don't know what it was. Like I kind of like to like make shit. Like I kind of work like Terry Funk a little bit. Like, if you hit me and then if I stumble and I fall to the ropes and I'm outside the ring, come out and get me.
Right.
I know it's not the next spot. You know what I mean. I know it's not the next spot, but come out and get me. And Rich was the guy that we had to have, like the match had to be planned and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean I'm still good friends with Rich. I think I am anyway. I haven't seen Rich in a while. I haven't been to a show in a while, but he was always one of them opponents, and I think that he was always one of my best opponents. And it was basically probably based upon because of our competitiveness,
Right. Well, and I was going to say, I mean, and not just in wrestling, but in any field that anybody's in, you can be friends with somebody, like, but not. I mean, I've had people that I really dig them as a person, but as a coworker, they fucking stunk. They just weren't. Me and them just didn't gel up or whatever. I like you as a person, but as a coworker, not so much. So
on the flip side, it's like, oh, you're a good fucking person to work with, but you're a shitty human being.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, me and Rich, like we would end up working on shows 2.5, 3.5, 4 hours away. And we get to the building and then we see that it's me versus Rich. We're like, we could have done this in Baltimore. Why are we here now?
The last sentence on this this chapter or this paragraph: on August 16th, Chad made a one-time appearance for the Beautiful Babes of Wrestling to wrestle Alexis Laree in an intergender match in Martinsburg, West Virginia.
So
I actually know a guy that's from Martinsburg, West Virginia.
And that's Mickey James, right?
Correct.
Yes.
It's my greatest match ever. I think it's my greatest match ever. I loved it. I mean, I half-ass trained Mickey anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I may have not.
I'll tell you this: you did a good job because, I'll fight anybody on it. I think she is one of the top 5 best women's wrestlers ever. I really do.
She still does give MCW credit. Like it depends on how deep of a dive of a podcast she's going to do or a show she's going to. You know what I mean?
Right.
It depends on how deep you're going to go because she'll always just throw TNA out on there first. But but when it comes down to it, yeah, I worked Mickey a fucking. It was me. There wasn't anybody else that was working Mickey. It was me, and we did this spot one time. I swear to God, it's my favorite spot, and somebody recorded it and sent it to me, and it pops up every year on my timeline. The Mahi straw kind of cradle thing where you roll around the ring.
Yeah.
Well, we did that spot where we rolled around the ring so many times that I got up and she stood there. And I just kept rolling around the ring, and then I eventually just got up and fell out. And then I went to fall out of the ropes, but I hung my feet up on the ropes, so she kicked my feet, the ropes, so I fell on the floor. And it's like when it pops up, I'm like, dude, that's one of the best spots I've ever done in my entire life. I've never seen that. Me and Mickey James doing we did like a 14 around my straw cradle, and basically it's because I was just trying to get some kind of coverage over here.
Right.
I was trying to touch her and stuff. I was trying to see what I can get out of this. And when we're just rolling around the ring, and and it's like, wow. And then that's one of my favorite. That's probably my favorite match of all time. Is the one with Mickie James. And it's funny because I went to a dinner with her one time, and it's when she started dealing with Nick, the guy that owns Aldi's.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to a dinner, and she fucking no-sold me, and my wife was there, and she even was like, dude, I can't believe that, and it's one of them things that it's happened. I don't know. It's almost like I did something wrong in my life. You know what I mean? Like I sexually abused somebody, or I swindled money or something for some company. Like it's almost like I did something bad. But she's noticed it, that people get big heads in this business.
And they really do, and a lot of people forget where they came. They forget where they came from till they either go into the Hall of Fame or they have to go back to where they came from.
Of course. I mean, that's not even. I mean, that's to me that's forgivable because I get it. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's happened to me because I didn't forget where I came from. I just regret where I went. That's my life. You didn't spend the fucking 2 years, on your own dime, living in fucking Memphis, bumming rides, or fucking Boonesboro, for Christ's sake.
Well, that wraps up this paragraph of Chad's Wikipedia page. So, let's see. Let's dig into this episode of ECW that we watched and see how much mileage we get out of that.
There's no questions.
I was going to do the episode first, and if we don't get enough time out of it, then we'll do a question. I do have a question, though, but
okay.
I don't think we're going to get a lot of time out of this episode just because I think there's literally
nothing.
Yeah, there's a lot of promos. There's one match and then a bit of another match. But anyway, we start out with a strange promo from Shane Douglas standing next to a shower thing. Like it's like the showers you use at a campground or something. And he's talking about how essentially like he's trying to make it sound like this shower thing that he's standing next to is like his palatial Egyptian temple or some such shit. It's ridiculous.
The holies of the holies.
Yeah, the holy of the holies.
Well, it's funny you say that it's the temple because that shower, I don't know where that shower is from.
I figured it was in the arena.
That's not the ECW arena shower.
Okay.
There's no shower in the arena.
No. There is no chance that they had a triple shower head in the ECW arena. Like, I mean, the only thing they had in there was a hose gimmick ready for a car wash to be set up at any time the next day. That there is no shower. There was a shower, but it was a one shower, one thing, and the hot water lasted about 7 minutes.
I picture like the shower that has the toilet in the shower.
Yes, literally. It was.
It's a camper shower.
And the worst was at some point somebody, I don't know who it was, Rocky Ortiz maybe, somebody went down to the street and bought like $1 shower curtain and put like the thing up right across the thing. But it went across the shower and the toilet. So if I was going to take a shower and you were going to take a dump, you're still in the same spot. There was no separation.
And now it's even more awkward because we're closed in.
Yeah. I'm like, well, that's why don't you not have a shower curtain?
That's what I was going to say was it's like a camper shower, where you can poop while you shower.
That's what it was. But nobody was going to walk it. I mean, if Terry Funk wanted to walk in and poop while I was showering, that's one thing. But if Dino, whatever his name was, Manel,
I just pictured Terry sitting on the shitter and Chad taking a shower, and Chad's like, "While we have this moment, can I pick your brain about something?"
yeah,
Terry's
I turned the water off because I think he's talking to Paul Bosch. And I'm like, all right, I'm picking his brain. All right, I'm turning the water off. I don't want him to think anybody's in here. And I'm gonna get his bookings. I'm gonna find out where Terry Funk's gonna be, and I'm gonna somehow get involved in this. It did.
Can I pick your stool for a second, Paul Wash?
Yeah, and Terry Funk asked me why I had plastic bags in the bathroom. Because before you don't flush, don't worry about flushing. I got this.
Well, Douglas is initially cutting this promo on Ron Simmons, and of course, how did that happen?
Over there, there's a Terry chunk.
Yeah, I had to walk around. I mean, how hard it was to find a plastic bag in the ECW arena? They didn't have puke in it? Jesus.
Douglas's promo on Ron Simmons here. Of course, he starts doing a promo on Ron Simmons and then goes into 5 minutes again on Ric Flair and then back to Simmons. I was watching this promo and I was like, how did that happen? Like, they just snuck that in there on me. It's back to Ric Flair again.
Oh, he didn't sneak it in. He just put it in there. It was he's still talking about Ric Flair, and Nate, you might be able to tell me you might be able to tell me what he was talking about. But he says that he basically said Ric Flair's not man enough to let Shane Douglas says he's man enough to not let an entertainer throw a handkerchief in his face.
I always thought the whole thing was he wasn't man enough to show up at the ECW arena.
Well, that's what he's saying about Flair, but he's saying that Shane's saying he's a tough enough wrestler to not let an entertainer throw a handkerchief in his face.
Okay, let me think. Let me think here.
Was he talking about Kurt?
What?
Was the handkerchief thrower Kurt?
I don't think so, because Kurt wasn't in This is December of '94, so Flair he's like just a little over a month after losing his quote unquote retirement match to Hogan at Halloween Havoc. So I don't even know what he would have done on TV where a celebrity or an entertainer would have thrown a handkerchief in his face. I don't know.
That's the only thing I was thinking about was that he was trying to say that Flair was a bitch or whatever for letting that Raw retirement happen.
Well, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because Ric Flair is not coming to the ECW arena. So, I mean, we could all sit out there and say that Ric Flair left the car there for 2 months. And no sparking or whatever. Fuck, you can say anything. He just booked the building for nothing and didn't put it in the pot. You can say anything you wanted on it. The bottom line was they kept saying Ric Flair's name at a show where there was 1,400 people, whatever number Paul was to put on it, that he wasn't coming. And I know for a fact I was there. I heard it. How much money it was going to cost, because they were thinking about running the Philadelphia Convention Center, and they had already ran the Philadelphia Convention Center, and so did DC Drake with the old TWA wrestling whatever company that was there prior. And it just wasn't economical because they didn't understand the economics. What do you want to get? You want to get fucking $5,000 one time, or do you want to get $1,200 every 6 weeks? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
They didn't understand that. They just didn't know that like there was that kind of like wrestling had that kind of legs.
But yeah, and then I mean Douglas goes back into talking about Ron Simmons. Like he starts talking about Ron Simmons, and then he veers off to Ric Flair, and then he's back to Ron Simmons, all standing next to this odd looking shower device, and he just essentially just said the same thing he's been saying for a month and a half.
Yeah, the funny thing was today on Seinfeld they had the episode of the shower head.
The water pressure, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking like, oh, Shane Douglas,
his poor hair, yeah.
If only Shane, could you imagine if he had got one of them Seinfeld shower heads and he came walking out and he looked like Newman. His hair was all just puffed up and curly, and he's trying to cut the promo. You're like, what? You got suds coming out of your ears.
Perfect Stranger playing in the background.
Yeah, that's tremendous.
Yeah, this promo is way too much flair. And even in the promo, he says, Shane says that he's never going to, he basically says that Flair sent his bitch, is what he says, to do his job, which he's talking about Sherry, and then says that he's never going to mention Flair's name again after this promo. And that's a fucking lie, because he's going to talk about him for another fucking 3 fucking goddamn years.
Years. Yeah, he's gonna try to bait him in for years. And do you think this goes back to the
Really?
the potential lawsuit that Paul had, in his back pocket? Do you think that at all?
I don't know, because I'm pretty sure Paulie was even smart enough to realize, okay, because of this potential lawsuit, they'll let me use Bobby Eaton. They'll let me use Arn Anderson, but there's no goddamn way they're going to let me use Ric Flair. And there's no way Ric Flair's going to come here.
Do you really think that? Is that what you think?
I do. I don't know. I just think it's just that's out of the realm of possibility to me. Flair ever showing up at the ECW arena, even Paulie had to know that was not going to fucking happen.
I don't know, man. I know I told the lovely Miss Jess tonight that I just told her about the show we were going to do. And I just said, the pop that Tully Blanchard got, the pop that Arn Anderson got, lights out, lights on.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine? Not even turning the lights out. Just the whole pause in between whoever's in the ring, Shane in the ring, doing, just not talking on the mic, just in the ring waiting. And then you hear Ric Flair's music. That fucking place would fucking, they would riot.
It's like we talked about last week. Yeah, okay, they're chanting Flair is dead. But if Ric Flair actually walked into that arena, they'd be as Cornette would say, they'd be throwing the babies in the air.
Dude, that's the way ECW fans are. They were that finicky, and they would boo you, if you weren't there. And now, as soon as you got look at Sabu. All right, go just take Sabu for example. Fuck Sabu. How big was that chant?
Mm-hmm.
Turn the lights off. Put Sabu in the ring. All right, Sabu.
Yay.
Everybody's bringing their babies to the arena.
Just throw them.
You know, you got to give him credit, though. I think the only guy that came in from the outside that had legit heel heat with that crowd was Jerry Lawler. I mean, we're going to get to that later on, but in a couple of years. But I think Lawler managed to retain his heel cred with that arena. I mean, I know when he first showed up, it was obviously it's the shock pop, but I think he was able to retain his heel heat with that crowd
because he was honest. He was honest from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he said it sucked. He anytime he saw it on TV, he said it stunk. It was awful. You know, it was like listening to If You Could Smell What the Arch Is Cooking. It was rotten. You know, it was terrible on all fronts.
and it is, and it might be a dumb or not something you guys agree with, but like Memphis was ECW before ECW, you know what I mean? So Lawler knew how to work that style of wrestling.
It's called cheap heat. Yeah, that's what Memphis was. Memphis was cheap heat. ECW was cheap heat, but it was on a different level where you had to send somebody to the hospital. You know,
Right.
You know, it wasn't like Lawler just taking advantage of a job guy and giving him 4 pile drivers, and then Lance Archer was going, "Oh my God, you got to take him out on a stretcher." No, in ECW, you had to send the guy out on a stretcher.
You had to explode his testicle, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, you had to do something
That's
a
what I'm
little
saying.
bit more.
Like ECW was like Memphis on steroids.
Or cocaine.
Of course it was. Of course it was. But then there's where
Lawler understood what he was going into, and that's why he knew how to work that shit.
Yeah, but Lawler didn't burn the candle like Paul did. Paul burnt the candle.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have the resources. He didn't have the footage. Not footage is in territory. I mean, like video. He didn't have the territory. Lawler had all that.
Well, no, I was just stating on what Nate said, where like Lawler was the guy that understood what he was walking into as being a worker in the ECW, like a non-ECW guy into ECW. So he knew what he was walking into because he had been doing that for fucking years. You know what I mean?
Of course he did. I mean, could you imagine Lawler? I mean, I know that Paul Lee wasn't going to tell. I mean, who the fuck knew Lawler was going to be in the ECW locker room that night? Beforehand, Bubba, Tommy, Paul, Lou, who else?
That's probably it.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and all of a sudden Laura walks in. And then everybody's just going to be like, "Hey, how you doing?" Because nobody gives a shit. You know, nobody knows, you know, what's going on. Nobody cares as far as I know. I never would have gave a shit. Same with fucking Cornette. Oh, this is awesome. Wow, Cornette's here. But Cornette to me was like was a whole different thing because I always thought that the Paulie and Cornette thing was a shoot. And now I don't believe that it was.
Oh no, I don't think so either. I don't think so either. Cornette talks about Paulie with too much respect for it to have been a shoot, because when Cornette doesn't like somebody, he doesn't care to shit on him. He actually gives Paulie his due, because Cornette will sometimes shit on somebody that is good just because he doesn't like them. You know. So,
I mean, like Bart Batten. or Ricky Shane from 5 Star.
I think you guys are right, and like Cornette got to me. I always, when Cornette talks about Paulie, I'm just always like, I think he got a kick out of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're like the North and South versions of each other.
Yeah.
Well, it's built-in heat. You have a built-in angle. You got a guy who's a southern guy, a guy from Northeast, and why not play? I mean, it's perfect, It's a perfect storm.
The next segment on this show is 911 versus the Young Dragons.
Oh, poor Young Dragons.
Were the Young Dragons always the same two dudes? Because they look different this time. Like, I don't know, size-wise or something the last time I saw them, but maybe it was just the camera work. I don't know. Fuck it. I'm digging too deep into it for something to talk about, but
Paul had a bunch of fucking kids backstage that were all trying on Young Dragon outfits.
And then Stan Hansen walked it. No, that's a different show. Never mind.
No, he had like 15 people out and like, if you notice, why don't you watch the next time you see a Young Dragons match and see if the guy is a little taller than the other guy, to where you see his ankles because his pants aren't long enough. And you go like, that ain't the same Young Dragon.
High waters. But yeah, this is essentially your standard 911 thing. He choke slams the shit out of these kids a couple of times. And they're talking about how 911 will be facing the Pitbulls in a handicap match this upcoming weekend. So hence he's having this kind of as a way to get ready for having a handicap match. Pretty much a squash. Not a lot to write home about here.
Well, 911, man. You said it. I mean, what are you going to say? 911.
Aaron, did you have any comments on this segment?
Just the fact that Joey was trying to put over that for the first time, 911's kind of the underdog because he's just been choke slamming. But this time he's fighting the pit bulls.
Well, the pit bulls, I mean, how honestly, if you're promoting the show, how does that make the pit bulls sound credible? It's going to be you two against this guy.
Right.
It sounds more like we're going to make this guy credible.
Well, no, I'm not saying the booking idea they had was right, but that's what they're trying to push is the fact that for the first time, 911 is going against two credible wrestlers as opposed to him going into like 2-on-1 matches against people like fucking Steve Richards and
Stevie Wonderful or some shit. Yeah.
Fucking Storm and Norman or whatever.
Stevie Wonderful.
Hey, I had to bring him up. It's been too long.
It's been way too long.
2 years.
Nobody's brought up Stevie Wonderful. I think we had one of his songs at my wedding. Didn't he do "You Are So Beautiful"?
Like Superstitious. Like Stevie Wonderful sung Superstitious.
That's it. That's all we got. We got "You Are So Wonderful" and "Superstitious." I mean, unless you can come up with any more Stevie Wonderful songs.
I can't.
How about him and the one with the one with Roddy Piper? I don't know. Was it Black and White? Whatever it was. What was it? I don't know what it's called. The song he did with
Ebony and Ivory.
Whatever. Him and Piper did Ebony and Ivory. Imagine you have Ebony and Ivory there. I wonder what Ivory looks like these days. Remember, she was a glow girl.
Yeah, she's probably leathery and wearing granny panties.
Oof. Yeah, probably not so good, huh?
Probably got diabetes.
Diabetes? She lost a foot.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame. She probably has a GoFundMe like everybody else. for the sake of having one.
I don't need it, but
I lost the foot, and then all of a sudden somebody says, "I found it."
I found Ivory's foot.
It's at Big Lots parking lot.
Ivory's diabetes felled off foot is in a Big Lots parking lot.
Yeah, I mean, that's possible, right?
You can find anything like that in a Big Lots parking lot.
Ivory's foot.
Stevie Richards found it because he's the manager.
I don't know.
Well, anyway, up next on this show, Tommy Cairo introduces his new manager, the Virgin Princess Angel.
All right, enough. I mean, how big of a rib does this have to be that she's the Virgin Princess? I mean, on television alone, she's been what 3 people? What, Rebel, Jason, now who? Cairo?
Cairo.
Yeah. How about this? She's a whore.
I forgot about this because, to be honest with you, I thought Cairo was gone by now. But
no, he's back. And he also told the people that when they see his Virgin Princess, that they need to get up off of their feet.
Oh, well, I mean.
So they need to sit down?
Like, out of your shoes?
Like, if you're going to get up off of your feet, that means you need to sit down.
Unless you're standing on Ivory's feet, then you can get up off of her feet.
Unless you have feet that have screws in them. Then you can just take your feet off.
Like Carrie Von Erich.
Yeah. I mean, you have a bunch of Carrie Von Erichs in the crowd.
The bunch of the variety kids.
Oh, not the variety kids.
Oh man, we are going backwards on this week's show.
Yeah, fuck the variety kids. You know, them kids, they got enough.
Sal Balomo's like, it's your time to shine, children.
You know, one of these people are going to start giving back to me. I've gave them enough. I don't know. I played volleyball with the autistic, and they were hitting the ball. They were hitting each other. I don't, I hit the ball over the fence, and they would just start punching each other, and like,
You're just like, ooh.
I don't get these autistic kids. I don't understand it. They don't get it.
Up next, Jason plugs the hardcore hotline. What are
I was going to say the autistic kids are watching the ECW on Spectrum.
Oh, good Lord. All of a sudden, I'm waiting for an Archie Mitchell thing to pop up now. Right, a picture right now as soon as you said that. And he's going to start yelling at me because, I'm going to fucking bury that. The autism kids. Oh, look at Todd Gordman. He's out there spreading the love. What did he ever do? I bet you he gave the fucking handicapped kids sterling silver necklaces from his jewelry place. Sterling silver. You know how much that cost?
Like,
not gold.
They're all walking around with a brooch on.
like,
Yeah, it's a shitty bracelet.
Like, not only are we retarded, now we have a green neck.
Well, I mean, who are these people? They're gonna argue with Todd? They were the Todd's jewelry store. Wow, I think we got off the topic here.
A little bit, but that's all right. We needed to. Jason cuts a promo next talking about the hardcore hotline, and he's going to tell his game plan for Holiday Hell. There's a smart manager. Tell your game plan to everybody on the hotline so your opponents can call and hear your game plan for this upcoming weekend. Good job, Jason, you fucking idiot.
Well, they
Well,
can't
for
afford
99 cents a minute.
They can't afford it. They're getting paid by Paul.
And what's his game plan?
How do you like my game plan?
Yeah, and what is it? And all of a sudden you're just sitting there in this silence for like 5 minutes. And you're racking up minutes.
Jason ruffling his jacket. That's pretty much what it is. Just Jason ruffling his jacket for 5 minutes.
It's just him cranking one out for like 5 minutes.
This is like Cameo before Cameo. If Jason could have been on Cameo doing How Do You Like My Suit?
How do you like me cranking one out? That's what Jason.
I don't know anything about the cranking one out. I'm not down with Jason cranking one out. I'm not doing all that. I mean, that's all Jason's deal. I don't know.
How do you like my?
How do you like my cranking one out?
How do you like my spooge?
I'm not. I don't. I think it's like, how do you like my fake heterosexuality kind of thing? Everybody. I'm trying to be heterosexual, but everybody knows that I'm completely not. Because look at me. I forgot a shirt, which means I'm going to a gay bar afterwards. And in Philadelphia, it ain't far.
How do you like my...
Dude, how do you like my pit bulls? It's oof. I hate to see how that night ended up.
Somebody had a dog collar on.
What else?
Somebody had a dog collar on.
Yeah. How do you like my pit bulls? Imagine the police rolling in and it's just Jason with a fucking dog collar on and tied to the bed.
And Anthony Durante being like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah. He's in the next room and the cops come to his room and they go, do you know anything about this? And they open the door and he goes, I have no idea.
Not a fucking clue.
No, I have no idea what's going on over here. This fucking guy. And then Gary, they couldn't even get him up. He just wasn't waking up for any of this. He's like, I ain't got time for any of this. Because everybody knows that the only pit bull worth of fucking shit was but
Anthony.
Tip. Yeah, Anthony. We called him
Anthony.
After they show us a video of the trials and tribulations of Sabu that have been going on in ECW, we get a Public Enemy promo discussing how the fans and Commissioner Gordon turned on them. They're discussing the match coming up with Taz and Sabu this weekend at Holiday Hell. They're the Mac Daddies of violence, etc., etc. Again, I said it a couple of weeks ago. I think I even reiterated it last week. Paulie looks at these guys, other than Sabu, as his biggest act because they get more TV time than anybody in ECW at this point.
Well, that's the way. That's the exact way to put it. He's their biggest act.
Mm-hmm.
And what is TV? TV's a variety show, right?
Right. Yeah.
And you have this act, which is Public Enemy. You have Sabu, who's an act, right?
Correct.
And then you have, all right, we'll even throw in Shane Tripper. Shane Douglas as an act. He's an act. Like, that's what you're building.
He's like, hey, Ric Flair, come and knock on my door.
I've been waiting for you.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean that's what he's trying to do. I mean, then I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I saw Brian Pillman walk out or something, and I'm just thinking like, dude, this is incredible for this place, this little tiny fucking little building to have this kind of like steam is incredible, right?
Yeah.
And I agree with that. But the best fucking act that he has on his show isn't one that I think that he's and he implements them on the show. But it's the best act he has on his show isn't the act that he's putting over the most, and it's Mick and Mikey. They're the fucking best thing that he has going on right now, in my opinion.
I don't know, man. I mean, I would have to. I would honestly, Aaron. I wouldn't even. Is that you, Aaron, or is that you, Nate, that said that?
It was me.
I would have to debate that because I would have to think about that for a second because I don't think that it was there yet. I think this was the beginning, and I'm not even sure that even during the heyday that carried anything. I thought that was the this is all my opinion. I mean, clearly, this is my opinion. I just thought that was the seasoning, you know, like that was kind of like the main event's going to be Shane and I don't know what whoever it is, Ron Simmons or whatever the fuck. But this is going to be the seasoning, the flavor of the show, you know.
Well,
I just thought it didn't hold the same. I just didn't think it held the main event status. I'm sorry.
Well, essentially, I think what you're trying to say is it's not the draw,
but
No.
it's
once you get them in the building, it's going to entertain them.
Well, that's
what I'm trying to say is like I think Mick and Mikey is the reason that all this shit's happening. Kind of, you know what I mean? Like Mick and Mikey were the thing that sprung off the PE, and they were the thing that sprung off this, and they were the thing that sprung off that. It's like, why aren't you talking more about the nucleus of your company? You know what I mean?
I don't think it mattered. I don't think it mattered. I think that it's because that Mikey and Cactus brought Mikey in to show that he's a big star and he can make anybody else a star. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't fucking know. Like you don't feel that way?
No, it's like
why wasn't it me? Well, I mean, I know why it wasn't me, but just theoretically, why wasn't it me? Why wasn't it Paul Luria?
I don't know, but what I'm trying to say is like later on when we get into ECW like 95, we talk about we're going to talk about like Nate said, like a lot of the shit in ECW comes off of Raven and Dreamer. You know what I mean?
Well, that carries the whole company for a year and a half, right?
But at this point, a lot of the storylines they're trying to tell are coming off of Cactus and Mikey being a team, and on this show, it's like they only talk about them or feature them for like 5 minutes. Like it should have been more, in my opinion.
Well, how much? Let me ask you then. How much more time do you think Cactus has there, or how much time do you think Cactus has? Period, with ECW as far as his availability. You know, was he not getting big enough? Where isn't he going to WWE in 2 months?
No, he doesn't go to WWE until 96. So he's going to be with ECW for another year.
I think it was. Wasn't it 95?
Maybe late, but Mankind doesn't debut on WWE TV till the night after WrestleMania 12. So that's like April 96. I can't remember how long it was before that he signed with them.
And I'm not trying to talk with hindsight. I'm just talking about with like looking at it in 94. if I'm looking at it as a promoter in '94, I'm more trying to put Mankind or Cactus Jack and Mikey Whipwreck on my show more than I'm trying to put the public.
Tony Stetson.
And yeah. You know what I mean?
Of course, yeah. I mean, I would totally agree with that. Yeah, I mean, no problem. But the problem is you have to secure dates with Cactus to make the whole entire project like doable, right? You have to secure his dates. I mean, I don't know his dates from them on, because remember, we talked about this probably on a different show, one of the other platforms of the We Can't Wrestle podcast network. If you check it out, that how many times did I follow Cactus to different territories and didn't even know it, right? I followed him around and it wasn't that I followed him around, is that I followed the territories around.
Right.
And I got there and I was like, oh, well, Jack was here. All right. And then eventually I run into Jack and we would talk about, our respective runs, or walks, or slight,
Strolls.
Yeah, I can't think of another word, a lesser word for payday for that. And yeah, strolls in our territory days. So yeah, I mean, I totally understand. And Cactus was like if Cactus has one flaw in my personal opinion with dealing with him, was that he was too generous. He would charge cheaper, if he only had to drive 2 hours or 3 hours. You know what I mean? You're Cactus Jack. Don't be charging, $150 less or $250 less because you only live an hour and a half down the street.
Right. Yeah, you built a name, use it.
Yeah, but Cactus was never like that, and that's why I always respected Jack for that kind of shit. Cause damn, that's impressive to me. Cause me, I've never even done that. I've charged more money for stupid shit, And who am I? I lose the women.
The last segment on the show, and I have to say I have a lot of positive to say about this segment, as crazy as that sounds, but we're showing the beginning of a match, Tommy Cairo and his Virgin Angel against Tommy Dreamer and Peaches. And they cut from the match to an interview between Cactus and Mikey, a promo, I should say. Mikey's going to ask Todd Gordon for a match with Public Enemy. Cactus, I love what he says about Kevin Sullivan here, because they're talking about Sullivan turning on Cactus, and Cactus says, essentially, hey, Kevin, why didn't you tell me you were going to beat up Hulk Hogan? Why didn't you tell me you were going to leave your brother Dave? I would have stayed in WCW with you. And I love that aspect of the interview. And then anything on the promo before we get to the next part, guys?
No,
I dug it.
Yeah, I just thought it was good, and I thought it. I mean, it didn't necessarily tie everything together, but it helped. It helped tie stories together, right?
Right.
Because people were like, "Why are you on this show, and on this show?"
Mm-hmm.
And he's explaining why. There you go.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what Chad said. Was it explains why Cactus Jack would have left WCW.
Did you say Cactus Drac?
The Cactus Jack.
I think you said Cactus Drac.
Okay, well, it explains why Cactus Drac left.
Cactus Drac. That's why he was never a star.
I thought he said Cactus Shrek.
Cactus Shrek?
Shrek.
Cactus Shrek? That's even worse.
It
Cactus
explains,
Shrek?
it explains why Shrek left WCW.
I'm a hardcore icon.
I've never seen Shrek.
It was a big deal when my kids were small, so I've seen it too many times. But anyway,
Cactus Shrek. Good night.
I also like the fact they have because the match, the mixed tag match, I forgot to mention when we started on it. The winner of the match, whether Tommy Dreamer or Tommy Cairo, is going to get to face the Sandman at Holiday Hell. So while the promo is going on, while the match is going on, Sandman comes in, attacks Cactus Jack, and then from the arena, he hears the fact that Tommy Dreamer has won the mixed tag match, and then he heads to the ring. I like the fact that they had the promo going on at the same time as the match, and then kind of the behind the scenes of Sandman going, "Oh, Dreamer won, so I'm going to head to the ring and beat his ass." And then pretty much insanity ensues out in the ring as well.
It also explained why Cactus got involved in it because, like you said, with Sandman, Tommy just won that match. It explains why Cactus would have got involved when all those guys are beating down Tommy because Sandman attacked Cactus.
Right.
I have no idea. I don't even have any notes on this whatsoever. I must have walked out of the room, and I think the cable guy was here.
Tommy Cairo?
I think so.
Well, essentially, yes. The Sandman and Cairo. The end of this is they are beating up Dreamer and Sandman, or Sandman and Cairo are beating up Cactus Jack and Tommy Dreamer with the Singapore Canes in the ring. And then we get a promo from Dreamer and Jack, with Jack all bandaged up and bloody, putting over what a badass Tommy Dreamer is, of course, because that's another goal of Paul Dangerously, or Paul Heyman, is to put over Tommy Dreamer every week. But overall, I thought this ending segment was effective. It set things up going into Holiday Hell, and it puts all the players in place for your future storylines or your continuing storylines.
Well, that's what you want to do. That's what your TV is supposed to do.
Exactly.
I don't understand what's so hard about that. I mean, but we also got to look at this is 30 years ago. You know, there's a different way of doing it. And 30 years ago, that's the way they did it, right?
Yep.
I don't watch anything nowadays. Do you guys watch anything nowadays?
I watch everything. I watch everything, but I don't watch it like I used to.
What do you mean watch everything? I mean, like what? Like, I mean, anything. I'm talking about regular shows, not just wrestling shows.
No. But I have gone from watching, I think that in the past 20 years, you know, it used to be when I was in my teens, 20s, maybe even early 30s, I was more keen to watch movies than TV shows, and now I'm more keen to watch TV shows than movies. It's like all the good writers and shit write TV shows now. They don't write movies. Modern movies suck. Modern TV is so much better than it used to be.
I used to hate writing TV, and I only wrote TV for a few months, like for a shitty independent company, like literally it came on at like midnight, like for 16 weeks, and I wrote TV for it, and I hated it. Because I could never get done what I wanted to get done. You know, I can't get somebody over. You know what I mean? How am I going to get somebody over when you're going to give me, 2.5 minutes?
Right.
And then I have like this effeminate guy, Adrian Street. Not Adrian Street. Adrian, I forgot what his name is. He's an effeminate guy that I like. we're friends, and I'm like, dude, I like this guy. I put him over. How can I get him over? In 2.5 minutes, and not even 2.5 minutes. What's it, like 30 seconds? Have him cut a promo? Is anybody going to come pay money to see this guy?
Right.
It's like ECW. ECW's turning the corner, and I think we're starting to see it now, honestly.
And that's what I was going to say with the final verdict on this show was, and I know we joked at the beginning, yeah, we're not going to get much out of this because it's all promos and shit. But when you go back and look at your notes and you look at the review of your show, you can see, all the layers of stories that they're telling here, and it's you watch it in hindsight, and it's probably. I can see why this company became the sensation that it became. And I mean, it flared up quick and fizzled out quick because at a certain point it became a one-trick pony. But you can see why, especially if you put yourself into 1994 and everything else that was going on in pro wrestling, this is so much different. Especially in North America, this is so much different.
Well, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's all right.
Basically, it's what you're saying of ECW did what they did, and they were revolutionary. The bigger companies that had a bigger budget took it away from them and did it with a lot more money and a bigger fucking
footprint,
television base.
Yeah, it all goes back to the fucking big dick fucking gimmick. I got a bigger dick than you. Watch this. I mean, am I wrong?
Nope.
Watch this. I can do this because
that's the way it is in everything. Carlin, going to Carlin's specials, he talks about countries and their military and missiles, and it's all a dick complex. He's like, what are missiles shaped like? Fucking dicks. That's what it is. It's all a big dick complex.
I love George Carlin, man.
Oh, George was the man. He wasn't a comedian, he was a philosopher.
Yeah, I mean, he could have been a political, a person, anybody. Yeah, I mean, I have so many George Carlin tapes going back to the 70s.
One of my favorite things, I forget which album it's on, but he does a thing. You ever hear his thing, the book club? It's one of his skits on one of his albums, and he's got all these ridiculous book names. But the best one is How to Kill a Rat with an Oboe. I fucking love that shit. It's hilarious.
I just love the complete list of dirty words.
He also they do an interview with Jesus. He does an interview with Jesus.
Yeah.
He's
I got a bike.
What's that?
Then. When he's I could have really used a bike.
Yeah, I could have really used a bike. Or he's like, people used to pray for simple things, to catch a yak.
To catch a yak?
Yeah, that's fucking funny. Now
George Carlin, man, dude, you're killing me, dude.
When I try to explain to younger people now what George Carlin was, I tell them to listen to Dave Chappelle.
Take my shoes off? Wish you would.
I don't know about that.
Well, Dave Chappelle, in my opinion, the comedy style and the impact that Chappelle has now is what Carlin was back then.
Like Carlin and Carnegie, man? Are you kidding me?
I think Dave Chappelle is the George Carlin of this era.
Okay, I mean, I'll take your word for it. I just don't. I'm just saying, I don't know.
Just a guy that's just he doesn't give a fuck what he says. He's not going to apologize, and yeah, that's just my opinion.
Dude, George Carlin, dude, when he, I actually have the list of all the dirty words. I wrote them all down. And if you want to, one day I can go find them and bring them on the show.
I think we say them every week.
Oh no, there's some good ones. Like there really is some good ones. We're about done, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Miss Jess is wondering what the fuck I'm doing coming in the house. I'm watching Mark Harmon.
Well, we are going to wrap it up, ladies and gentlemen. Aaron, Chad, either one of you, any parting listeners? Any parting listeners? Anybody listening to the show if you're alienated by our language or our uncouth behavior? Guys, any parting words for our listeners this week?
Fuck all of them dummies. I mean, seriously.
Bunch of fucking Mitchells.
You know, what do you expect? You know, seriously.
Aaron, say something nice.
If any of you fucking idiots are listening, I really appreciate it, and keep listening to all the shows, especially the Reliving the Extreme, but also listen to the We Can't Wrestle podcast and Smell What the Art is Cooking and all that other shit.
Yeah, put over the last show.
Definitely check out the We Can't Wrestle podcast Hall of Fame from this past week. It was it was a good time had by all.
Archie Mitchell.
Gold.
Archie Mitchell.
Thank you, Archie Mitchell, and thank you everybody else for listening to the show. And we will see you next week. Thank you, Chad. Thank you, Aaron, on the next edition of Reliving the Extreme. Have a great week, everybody.